Recording now. All right. So, hey, welcome. I am Chris Freeman. I'm the coordinator of the Environmental Studies program, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about an interesting opportunity that you can think about that our school system is offering to you guys that I am a part of. So you don't have to look at me anymore. You can check this thing out. And if you have questions, hopefully I'll be able to answer them afterwards, but I'll give you my email as well so that you can keep in touch. So what you're looking at here is the Environmental Studies program, right? This is a space that is not a school. This is for 11th and 12th graders as an opportunity to come here and explore, but you need to apply in 10th grade in order to get accepted, and for your 11th grade year, you'd be here part-time. So you'd be part-time at your school, part-time here, the Environmental Studies program, exploring this amazing space, being a part of this amazing building. And I'll answer some questions at the end. And if you want to just put some stuff in the chat, we'll try and look at that once I finish up here. So this is not a school. This is Pleasure House Point at the mouth of the Lynnhaven River. The Chesapeake Bay is right out there. The Atlantic Ocean's there as well. And so we're surrounded by water. We have this beautiful city park here that is an awesome place to explore and check out. That's basically our classroom. And then we have this amazing building here. It's the 10th living building in the world, which is one of the hardest architectural challenges you can achieve. It has 168 solar panels. It has wind turbines. It produces way more than the amount of energy that's required for it to operate. It is the first building in the United States to take all of the rainwater that lands on it and turn it into drinking water. So it's just really, really interesting stuff goes on here. Even the poo and pee that goes into this building gets converted into something that nourishes ecosystems. It gets turned into jack screen fertilizer. You don't even flush here. Toilets are a really unique experience. So, I mean, it's just a state-of-the-art facilities from the bottom up, literally the bottom, you know what I'm saying? So this is the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that's working to make ecosystems in the bay and this area a better place. And this is where our classroom's going to go, right here. So that's what I want to sort of get into with you, this idea of redefining what a classroom looks like and trying to tie your interests into your learning in some different ways. So if you're someone who wants to save the world and be a part of change in some way, shape, or form, there's some really good news. Which is that the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is saying there's massive job growth for environmental studies style careers for these emerging markets and for sustainability careers. So, you know, if deep down in your heart, maybe your lower left ventricle, you're like, man, I want to save the planet, there's some fantastic career options for you to do that. And we at the Environmental Studies program are trying to help you think through what those options are, expose you to these emerging markets, to connect you to folks that are doing this exciting work and to get you into this space. And so here's a picture of our classroom as it will look like once it's completely finished. We have just a couple weeks before we can move into this space, but this is an architectural rendering of what our classroom's going to look like. And of course, this building's already finished. So this is where you could be going for part of your day and exploring as if you're a 10th grader, you would apply now. The application deadline is the 19th, and then you'd be going to this space, getting outside, exploring the world around here, and having some fun for your junior and senior year. And when I say redefine what a classroom is, I think of this as a classroom, right? This is the area where we could be learning daily. You know, I'm not a great photographer, but this place, it's just magical, right? You know, like this is literally right out of our classroom window. You know, a bird, a Cooper's hawk flew right over. It's like it wanted to be a guest lecture the other day. You know, it came in and, you know, just couldn't help but be distracted for a little while staring at it. But this is our space. Virginia Beach is surrounded by water. I mean, it is a huge percentage of Virginia Beach's water. As a matter of fact, I think 49% of Virginia Beach is actually water, not including wetlands, just straight waterways. So it's just pretty incredible to think about how much water we have. And wouldn't you want to be out in this as part of your classroom experience, and waders with fishing gear, with testing equipment, with our canoes and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation boats, hanging out on the dock, just being out into this space. This could be your classroom. We're here daily. This also is part of your classroom, or your potential classroom if you come here to be a part of the environmental studies program. This is our deck. It gets Wi-Fi access. You can take all of the glass here, all these doors, and slide them all the way off to the side, so we have one continuous space that opens up, and the deck becomes literally an extension of our classroom. So there's some really exciting learning here, and overlooking the waterways. This is just where we'd be. You see the wind turbine in the background. Some exciting stuff. This doesn't look or feel like your typical school setting, and that's the point, right? We're trying to remove the school from school and redefine where learning happens in this exciting hands-on space. And so here's an architectural rendering of the physical space that we'd be in. And, I've talked about some emerging markets that we're trying to connect you to. I want to show you one of these. But first off, we have our mezzanine up here, that's sort of casual hangout space for learning. We have our more formal learning here. We have a kitchenette in here where we can do stuff. And, our bathrooms are around the corner. As I said, they're real unique. All the water that lands on this building gets turned into drinking water. So all the rainwater is converted. First building in the United States to do that. Be amazing. But we also have this cool looking green wall here that becomes a part of what it is that you do. And I want to show you, instead of a rendering, I want to show you what one of these looks like. We've hired the same company that has made Under Armour's BioWall. They're making ours, right? And so this is more of what we're going to see in our classroom, minus the Under Armour logo. We'll have to, maybe you guys can help me figure out what logo or what thing we want to put over top of this. This is an air filtration system, a very fancy plant-based air filtration system that serves multiple purposes. Instead of hiding an air filtration system in the HVAC setup of a building, you can create a living work of art in your building. And so these are these emerging markets that are coming out. Purify the air, create an indoor ecosystem, and also have this amazing art as a focal point for a business. Why wouldn't people want to have something like this in a business to draw attention, create a cool scene indoors? And that's what we're going to have access to, and be able to learn how to maintain this and monitor it, install it, and that can be a part of what it is that you're doing. Here's some of my students, and a lot of science that you do at high school is awesome, right? I mean, that's what inspired me to become a scientist, but it also is dealing with knowns, right? And you have a lab and you're indoors. A lot of the science that we're doing, a lot of the stuff that we're exploring, a lot of the adventure with your learning is dealing with going outside and looking at real world problems where we don't know the answer, and we're all trying to figure this out together. We're exploring and working through situations that are affecting Virginia Beach, and we're trying to find out what some of these situations are even. And so here you see students out in what their version of a classroom is at the environmental studies program. Do you want this to be your learning environment? Something to think about. We have 3 strands here that are something that you don't need to know what you want to do, but that we're going to expose you to. And by your senior year, hopefully you'll have picked one of these that you want to sort of do a deeper dive into. So our first strand is sustainable economics and business innovation. So if you're not a scientist, if you're someone who might be interested in engineering in some way, or interested in architecture, or interested in what a business model would look like that helps save the planet while manufacturing things. This could be, even a small mom and pop store, right? How would it be more effective at reinventing what our world looks like? We can help you do that here. And just as a cool example, I'm going to change my view settings so I can make sure I'm able to show you this so I can see myself too. But if you look over here at this bike, right, this is one of our examples of stuff that we have as equipment that will help with this business model of innovation, right? So when you think about a gym, you don't typically think of science, right? It has nothing to do with science, but it could have something to do with reshaping our world. So I'm walking over here, I'm getting onto this bike, and what I want to show you that's kind of interesting is that this bike, instead of wasting energy while pedaling, it produces energy. And so you can see this fan here that's being operated by the energy. You can power cell phones, you can power computers, and you can see I'm actually generating and storing electricity in the system. So when I stop pedaling, you can see that everything is still operational here. So you can think through like, oh, geez, wouldn't it be cool to reinvent a workout space that actually creates energy and gives it to the grid instead of otherwise, right? And we can actually take this desk platform off of this and we can make smoothies, pedal-powered smoothies, as thinking about reinventing health food and what that looks like. So there's some cool stuff that we get to play around with here. If you're thinking about strand one and just, cool stuff that we have at this facilities, aside from the amazing space that we're in, we have some cool toys that will give you hopefully inspiration and help you think through some cool stuff that will empower your outlook on life. We also have strand 2 here, social sustainability and activism. And again, you don't have to be interested in just straight science to appreciate this facilities and the things that we do here. We also want to help you. We're connected to the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and they're an amazing organization focused on activism, focused on how to save the Bay, how to think through social inequities that are dealing with our region and help fix them. And so, we have 3 juniors right now that are going to be published in a national publication, the Green School Catalyst Quarterly, which is just an amazing opportunity for them to put on their resume, to help them apply to schools, to think through what they want to do in life. It opens doors for them. And so it's an amazing thing that these kids are working through, and they're getting that through their focus in this social sustainability and activism, and not so much the science end of things. But if you're interested in being a lawyer or a policymaker or a politician, thinking through this stand, or if you're interested in running a nonprofit, this second strand will be a real effective way to help you through some of those components. And then we have the strand 3, which is the environmental sustainability and natural resource stewardship strand. And that is focused more on the science of outdoor stuff. And when you think about how you connect a career to not a desk job, we're going to help you work through some of those ideas. And, all these strands link together because science is going to inform activism. Science is going to inform policy and decision making with politicians. Science is also informing business innovation. So all these 3 things really are interlocked together and are cool to think through. And so we have these great students doing outdoor learning and having a good time out here. This is their classroom. This is part of what they're doing. So aside from the 10th living building in the world that people are literally flying all over to see this space, this gem in Virginia Beach that most people aren't even aware exists in Virginia Beach, but those people that are understanding of what a living building is are traveling far and wide to see this space. But aside from that, we have all of Pleasure House Point to call our classroom. And so we have these students that are here in the building doing their thing. This is the bike that I was just talking to you about. And we have all this amazing equipment to help get students outside every single day to explore our world, better understand it, and think through how we can solve some of the problems here. So this is some of our air quality testing equipment that we have. The AirQual, we're really the only school in the U.S. that, high school in the U.S. that has stuff like this. We can actually walk to a road and, you guys have cars drive by all the time, right? And when a car goes by, it's emitting all sorts of stuff that this can detect, including volatile organic compounds, nitrous oxides. And on warm days, we can actually watch chemical reactions unfold before our eyes with this equipment, converting those things into O3, tropospheric ozone. And we have here just another example of some of the cool stuff that we have. Water quality equipment like the HL4 Hydrolab Sonde, which you can actually deploy into the ocean as a major, I mean, this is what like NOAA research scientists are utilizing. You can deploy this thing for up to a month, and it records data and sends you data minute by minute, second by second, really helping you to understand what's going on with the dissolved oxygen changes as the tide fluctuates, and all sorts of cool things that we'll be able to look at and study with this equipment. Sort of looks like a Ghostbusters thing for underwater ghosts or something, but it's a pretty high-powered scientific tool. And we can do all sorts of stuff related to climate change. And one of the things that we have here is our tree coring equipment, which allows us to look at historic impacts to our region. Are trapped in a hidden story inside trees that I can talk to you a little bit more about in just a second. But we have all these awesome microscopes and netting that allows us to scoop up microscopic organisms that are in our water, just swimming around, and see how many we got, see what they look like, watch them under the microscope swimming around, and watch their hearts beating, try and identify what they are, take pictures of them with our phones, and really explore our world. This is the base of the marine food chain, and we get to really see how does the seasonal variability affect the base of the marine food chain in the Chesapeake Bay. What's going on with this world as climate change or ocean acidity is affecting our region? You know, what changes are we able to document? So some really cool science that can take place there. As I said, we have this dendrochronology equipment that does some really cool climate change research stuff. You can, most people know that when you cut down a tree, you can count how old it is by using the rings, but a lot of people don't realize that that's actually the tube structure. The rings that you see are actually the xylem structure, the wicking ability of a tree for water to move up through it. And you can measure millimeter by millimeter the distance between those to see what historic events have taken place in a tree's life. You can see that it's directly correlated to hydrology, the water in that tree's life. So you have years of drought that trees experience and years of flooding, and you can map that out in a graph, and then you can figure out, you know, are there historic trends that we see, and can we use that as a predictive measurement to determine how our climate in our region is going to unfold in the future, or if we're seeing changes taking place in the future that concern us. So there's some really cool science that we can do there. We also have bees here on site, but moreover, you know, so we do a lot with marine biology here. But on top of that, we're able to explore our terrestrial ecosystems as well. So we can walk around and take the time to just look at all these blooming organisms, you know, blooming plants that are around in our area, to try and figure out when exactly, what's the day year by year that each of these species bloom. And from that, our bees are the bees that are on our site, utilizing them as a nectar source. So we can actually weigh the hive and see how it's changing day to day, and do some neat stuff there as well, along with trying to help our region be more sustainable with their bee populations due to colony collapse disorder and varroa mites. The bees are really having a tough time in our region. So we want to reinvent what learning looks like. We want you to have an exciting classroom experience that involves outdoors. Let's face it, right? Like to gain mastery over something, Malcolm Gladwell, an author, says it takes 10,000 hours to do that, to gain mastery. That's basically an entire high school experience. And the only thing that you're doing for 10,000 hours in high school typically is sitting on your tuchus, right? And we want to change that. We want to help get you out side and exploring the world and having an adventure with your learning, and you know, tying in some of the things that we do like fishing to your life passions, so you have the time to breathe and enjoy and take a breath and look around and understand that, man, we live in this beautiful space, and how do we keep it that way? And so, yeah, we have canoes, we have the Chesapeake Bay Foundation's boats that are here that we can sign up to utilize. We have this amazing trail system that we can walk and explore. We have these decks that are just incredible views that add to our learning space. We have a dock here that gives us access to the oyster barge restoration project is here, where the Chesapeake Bay Foundation is trying to grow 10 billion oysters by 2025, 10 billion. They're well on their way to do that, and we can assist them with that. And learn all the process of that and how that works with these 6 grow tanks on the oyster barge that have 850 gallons of water that are doing amazing work to put diploid oysters back into the Chesapeake Bay so they can grow and thrive and reproduce and do amazing things. So, here's some students in the program having fun, doing their thing. As I said earlier, we're not trying to take away from your homeschool experience. We're trying to add to that, right? So we don't want you to get rid of your homeschool friends and ditch where you are. We're an AM and a PM session. So half of your school day, every day, you would be here in this amazing space. And then for the other half, you'd be back at your school. So you can see here the schools that are connected to the AM session, the schools that are connected to the PM session. We bus you here where you can drive, right? So this just becomes sort of an exciting extension of your learning experience that opens you up to new friends, new experiences, new people, connects you to businesses, and connects you to opportunities that can help you decide your future and help you steer the ship of your learning, which is a really important thing to think about. How do you gain empowerment through your learning and decide how and when your learning happens? This might be it to help a little bit with that process. And so, you'd be applying in 10th grade, and you don't need, these aren't all prerequisites for 10th grade. Essentially, we're looking at biology as a prerequisite. This is just a sample of what you might be taking when you're in the 10th grade. But in the 10th grade, that's when you would apply, and our application ends on the 19th. So I want you to think about that as if you're going to apply, now is the time, because application closes on the 19th, and then the teacher recommendations and that sort of stuff, we give it like a week for them to finish up on that. So you want to make sure that they're aware that they have to do some stuff after you submit your application. Right. So if you're in 9th grade, you got to wait a little while. If you're in 10th grade, man, think about applying right now. Right. Your 11th grade year, this is just a sample of what you might be taking outside of my class. But in my class, you would be taking AP Environmental Science. That's the one sort of thing that you've probably heard of before. All these other courses are designed to get you outside, to get you thinking about business, to get you thinking about engineering, to get you thinking about this amazing building and the land around us and solving real world problems. Your 12th grade year is a whole other really unique opportunity because, yeah, you have one course, but the rest of this is you get to dive into something that you're passionate about, and we try and connect you to community partners that are going to help you explore something that you're interested in, whether it's, building an environmental guitar, right, out of scrap parts, and then thinking about that as a business model of, do we do, reclaimed guitars for some sort of environmental business, or are we going to do some sort of interesting climate study where we're going to try and look through some issues that relate to making our area more regionally resilient. Okay, so there's some really neat opportunities for your independent study, but we can also connect you to a business so that you can have an internship experience. And that's really exciting too, because the aquarium is working with us right now. And so you could think about, maybe I want to go out on research vessels and take pictures of dolphins and whales as part of my internship. We can make that happen, right? I'm interested in water quality research with the aquarium and their amazing water quality equipment. Well, we can make that happen. I want to go net peregrine falcons and do blood work analysis on them. We can make that happen. I want to study and do dissections, necropsies, an animal autopsy, investigate dead marine mammals that wash up in our region and find out how and why they died, and work with the Marine Mammal Rescue Center to uncover these untold stories. Hey, we can make that happen. So there's lots of stuff to do there. If you're interested in engineering or architecture, there's businesses that we can help you, connect you with for an internship as well, in place of that sort of independent research that you could also do. And so there's some really cool options, including, Back Bay National Wildlife Refuge and working with park rangers there to understand what they do. So there's some exciting things that we can expose you to your senior year that really empower and embolden you to do something that you're really, really interested in as a deep dive that usually you don't get that experience in high school. And so I want to encourage you to apply and think about, this is a program. Oh my goodness, look at me, my pre-COVID hairdo. Look at this mop, goodness gracious. But this is where you can click to apply. This is us on Twitter. You can think about following us. This is my email. What I want to do right now is paste this in the chat so that you don't have to just try and feverishly write this down if you're interested in the program. So I'm going to end my screen sharing, and I'm going to put this in the meeting room. If you aren't in 10th grade, and you're in 9th grade, you have to wait a year. Unfortunately, if you're an 11th grader, you won't be able to apply to our program. We have folks that are already in 11th grade in our program that move up with in a cohort to be a part of our senior year here. So unfortunately, that's a tough break for you if you're in 11th grade. But if you're in 9th grade, you just got to wait a year. You apply in 10th grade, and then once you finish your 10th grade year, you'd be at your home school and then spending part of your day with us, which is a pretty cool opportunity. So I really hope that you consider applying. Are there questions that I haven't answered? Are there interests that looks like, unfortunately, someone was having trouble and couldn't hear me. I hope that wasn't the case with everyone. But are there any other questions that you have that I can help you with before I let you all go? So that's, someone asked me in a direct message how this works in terms of credits, right? This can serve either as science credits. Certainly AP Environmental is an example of a science credit. All of these can relate to that, but they can also serve as elective credits as well. So they can actually serve as both. Your junior year, you get 3 full credits for being a part of that. So, that is great. Your senior year, you get 3 credits. It sets you up in line working with your homeschool to make sure that you're graduating and getting, on your seal, on your diploma, the environmental seal of excellence as well. So that looks great for schools, along with all these other opportunities. So there's some cool stuff to be had. Other questions that you might have? All right. Well, look, I really appreciate your time, spending some of your day with me. Have a great one. Thank you for giving me a little bit of your day. All right. Enjoy the rest of it. And hopefully I'll see you next year.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care. You too. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.